First is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and all your strength. And the second is to love your neighbor. Nowhere does it say the third most important commandment is make sure your buildings look pretty. Make sure you drive a nice car. Some other time I'll have to preach on Janis Joplin's Lord, Won't You Buy Me a Mercedes-Benz, but that's a sermon for a different week. Never does it say make sure you have really good status. Make sure you align yourself with the right people and the right systems and the right political entities. What are the idols that take our focus away from God? There's an old story that I'm sure I've told you at least once before, but I'm going to tell it again because it's the perfect story for this illustration. It's a story about author Rob Bell and his family walking along a beach. His son is collecting the tiny fragments of seashells as they walk. You know those bits and pieces that maybe look like a seashell and maybe not? They're those little tiny crusty fragments, and so he starts collecting them one at a time and starts filling his hands with these seashells. Before long, he's filled up his entire hand with seashell fragments, and so he starts filling his other hand with the seashell fragments, and before long, he's got his hands and pockets and arms full of these seashell fragments. And he looks out, and off in the distance there on the beach is a beautiful sea star. Not live, but a beautiful sea star skeleton, whole, bigger than his hand, sitting there on the beach. And he looks at it, and his dad says, well, yeah, go get it. And he runs off to go pick up the seashell, and he looks down at the seashell. He looks back at his parents, he looks down at the seashell, and the parents go, well get the sea star. And he looks at it, and he looks at them, and he looks at his hands, and they say, well, just pick it up, buddy. And he says, I can't. My hands are so full of shell. He couldn't drop the fragments of the shells he was holding to pick up the one big sea star in front of him. Rob Bell goes on to say, the question for us to answer is, what are the seashells that keep us from grabbing hold of our starfish? And what would it take for us to drop them?